Have you ever seen an INFJ get truly angry? If not, consider yourself lucky. INFJs, known for their calm and gentle nature, rarely show their anger. But when they do, it can be intense, surprising, and even terrifying. Their emotions, usually kept under control, can explode in unexpected ways. Whether it's a sudden outburst, a deep withdrawal, or even cutting someone off completely, an INFJ's anger is unlike any other. In this video, we'll explore 6 terrifying things that happen when an INFJ gets mad. If you are an INFJ, you might relate. If you know one, pay close attention. The calm before the storm. Suppression of anger. INFJs are known for their deep emotions and strong sense of empathy. They feel things intensely but rarely show their anger openly. Instead of expressing their frustration, they tend to suppress it. They do this because they dislike conflict and want to keep the peace. But this doesn't mean the anger goes away, it just builds up inside them like a pressure cooker. At first, an INFJ might brush off small annoyances. They might convince themselves that it's not a big deal, or I shouldn't let this bother me. They try to be patient, understanding, and forgiving. But over time, if they keep suppressing their emotions, the anger doesn't disappear. It lingers beneath the surface, growing stronger. This hidden anger can lead to emotional exhaustion. INFJs may start to feel drained, moody, or distant without even realizing why. They might become more irritable, snapping at little things that wouldn't normally bother them. People around them may sense that something is wrong. But since INFJs don't express their emotions easily, others might not know what's really going on. One of the scariest parts of this stage is that no one sees the anger coming. INFJs appear calm, even when they're boiling inside. They smile, act polite, and continue their daily lives as if nothing is wrong. But the truth is, their emotions are piling up, waiting for the moment they can no longer be contained. The problem with suppressing anger is that it never truly goes away. It might stay hidden for a while, but eventually, something will trigger it. And when that happens, the INFJ's anger will erupt in a way that no one expects. At this stage, INFJs may also struggle with self-doubt. They question whether they have the right to be angry. They replay situations in their minds, wondering if they're overreacting. This overthinking only adds to their frustration, making their emotions even more intense. For people around an INFJ, this can be confusing. They might believe everything is fine because the INFJ hasn't spoken up. But in reality, the INFJ is reaching their breaking point. And once they reach it, things will never be the same. The eruption. Sudden and intense outbursts. When an INFJ finally reaches their breaking point, the explosion can be shocking. They have spent so much time holding in their anger that, when it finally comes out, it's intense, raw, and unfiltered. People around them often don't see it coming because INFJs are usually calm and composed. But when they snap, it's a completely different story. Unlike some personality types who express anger in small bursts, INFJs tend to unleash all their built-up frustration at once. This can happen in a heated argument, an emotional breakdown, or even a full-on confrontation. When they do let their anger out, they don't just focus on the present moment. They bring up everything they've been holding on to. Things that happened weeks, months, or even years ago suddenly come to the surface. One of the most terrifying parts of an INFJ's outburst is how intense their words can be. INFJs are naturally deep thinkers and excellent communicators. But when they're angry, they can use these skills as weapons. They know exactly what to say to hit someone where it hurts. Their words, usually used to comfort and inspire, become sharp and piercing. During an outburst, an INFJ might 1. Raise their voice or even yell, something they rarely do. 2. Say brutally honest things they've been keeping inside. 3. Show emotions they normally keep hidden, like rage or deep disappointment. 4. Call out someone's flaws with pinpoint accuracy. After the explosion, the aftermath can be just as intense. INFJs often feel guilty for losing control. They replay the situation in their minds, wondering if they overreacted or hurt someone too much. This guilt can lead them to withdraw, distancing themselves from others. On the other side, the people who witness an INFJ's outburst may feel stunned or even fearful. Since INFJs are usually gentle, their anger can feel overwhelming and out of character. Some may take their words personally, not realizing that the INFJ has been suppressing these feelings for a long time. This stage is a turning point. Once an INFJ reaches this level of anger, things cannot go back to the way they were. The eruption may be quick, but the emotional damage, both for the INFJ and those around them, can last a long time. The cold shoulder, emotional withdrawal. After an intense outburst, INFJs often retreat into themselves. They are highly introspective and sensitive to emotions, which means that after expressing their anger, they need time to process everything that just happened. This withdrawal can be confusing for those around them. One moment, the INFJ was expressing deep frustration, and the next, they are silent, distant, and unreachable. During this phase, INFJs might 1. Stop responding to messages or calls. 2. Avoid social interactions, even with close friends. 3. Spend excessive time alone, lost in deep thought. 4. Become emotionally distant, even if they are physically present. INFJs withdraw for several reasons. First, they need to regain control over their emotions. Expressing anger, especially in an intense way, is exhausting for them. They may feel drained, ashamed, or even regretful about what they said or did. They might replay the situation over and over in their minds, analyzing whether they were justified in their anger or if they could have handled things differently. Second, INFJs withdraw because they fear being misunderstood. Many people don't realize how deeply INFJs feel emotions. If their outburst was met with confusion, rejection, or dismissiveness, they may shut down completely. They feel it's better to keep their emotions to themselves rather than risk further conflict. For those around an INFJ, this withdrawal can be frustrating. It can feel like the INFJ is giving the silent treatment or intentionally shutting people out. But in reality, they are not punishing others. They are trying to heal. They need time to reflect, recharge, and figure out their next steps. However, if the issue that caused their anger isn't resolved, this withdrawal can last indefinitely. INFJs don't forget things easily. They may not bring up the situation again, but that doesn't mean they've moved on. Their emotions continue to simmer beneath the surface, and if they don't find a way to express them in a healthy way, they may end up cutting ties completely. INFJs value deep connections, but if they feel disrespected, unheard, or emotionally unsafe, their withdrawal may be a sign that they are preparing for something even more final. The INFJ door slam. The sharp tongue. Uncharacteristic harshness. INFJs are typically kind, gentle, and thoughtful in their communication. They choose their words carefully, making sure to uplift and support those around them. However, when they are truly angry, their usual kindness can disappear, replaced by an unusually sharp and cutting tone. One of the most terrifying aspects of an INFJ's anger is their ability to be brutally honest. They don't just express their frustration, they articulate it with precision. They have a deep understanding of people's emotions, strengths, and weaknesses. And when they're pushed too far, they can use that knowledge to deliver words that cut straight to the core. During this phase, an INFJ might 1. Say things they've been holding back for a long time. 2. Call out someone's deepest insecurities. 3. Use logic and reasoning to dismantle arguments. 4. Speak in a cold, almost emotionless tone. This kind of anger is particularly unsettling because it's so out of character. People who know INFJs as warm and compassionate individuals may be completely caught off guard. The usual soft-spoken nature is replaced by directness and even cruelty. They don't shout or curse excessively. INFJs don't need to. Their words alone are powerful enough to leave a lasting impact. What makes this even scarier is that INFJs rarely get angry over small things. By the time they reach this point, they've already analyzed the situation from every angle, and they are fully convinced that their anger is justified. They don't lash out irrationally. Instead, they deliver calculated, precise, and deeply personal words that can be hard to recover from. After an INFJ lets out this kind of harshness, they often feel conflicted. On one hand, they may feel relief for finally expressing their emotions. On the other, they may regret being so harsh, especially if they care about the person they directed their anger toward. For those on the receiving end, this experience can be shocking. They may not have realized how much hurt or frustration the INFJ was holding inside. And while an INFJ's words may be truthful, the way they deliver them can be devastating. Some relationships never fully recover from this stage. If an INFJ reaches this point, it's often a warning sign. If the situation doesn't improve, they may take the next step, the infamous INFJ door slam. The door slam, cutting off relationships. The INFJ door slam is one of the most final and chilling reactions an INFJ can have when they reach their emotional limit. This isn't just ignoring someone for a few days. It's a complete and permanent removal of a person from their life. INFJs don't do this lightly, but when they feel disrespected, betrayed, or emotionally exhausted, they may decide that cutting ties is the only way to protect themselves. At first, an INFJ will try everything to fix a situation. They will communicate, empathize, and give second chances. But if the same patterns of hurt or disrespect continue, something inside them shifts. They stop explaining, stop trying, and instead, they silently walk away. During the door slam, an INFJ might 1. Block or delete someone from their phone and social media. 2. Completely stop responding to messages, calls, or in-person interactions. 3. Emotionally detach and act as if the person no longer exists. 4. Move forward in life without any explanation or closure. This can be terrifying for the person on the receiving end. One moment, they had a deep connection with the INFJ, and the next, they are completely shut out. There are no warnings, no dramatic arguments, just silence. What makes the INFJ door slam different from other forms of cutting people off is that it is permanent. While some people might distance themselves for a while and later reconcile, INFJs rarely go back on their decision. Once they have mentally and emotionally detached from someone, it's as if that person no longer exists in their world. This happens because INFJs give so much of themselves to relationships. They invest deeply, often at the expense of their own well-being. But when they realize that a relationship is draining them rather than supporting them, they see no other choice but to walk away. For INFJs, the door slam is a form of self-protection. It's not about revenge. It's about preserving their mental and emotional health. They don't do it impulsively. They only reach this point after long periods of hurt, reflection, and repeated disappointment. Once an INFJ slams the door, they rarely look back. And for those who experience it, the sudden loss of such a deep connection can be one of the most painful and unexpected consequences of making an INFJ mad. The inner turmoil, overanalysis, and stress. Even after an INFJ expresses their anger, withdraws, or even cuts someone off, their internal struggle doesn't end there. INFJs are deep thinkers, and their minds rarely stop analyzing situations. Once the anger fades, they often enter a period of intense self-reflection, replaying every detail of what happened. During this stage, an INFJ might 1. Question whether they overreacted. 2. Feel guilty about how they handled the situation. 3. Try to rationalize the other person's behavior. 4. Experience emotional exhaustion from overthinking. Unlike other personality types that can move on quickly, INFJs tend to hold on to emotional experiences for a long time. Even if they were completely justified in their anger, they will still analyze every word they said, every action they took, and every possible way they could have handled things differently. This can lead to stress, anxiety, and even physical exhaustion. INFJs also struggle with the emotional aftermath of their actions. If they had an outburst, they may feel guilty for losing control. If they withdrew, they may wonder if they should have communicated more. And if they slam the door on someone, they may wrestle with feelings of sadness and loss, even if they know it was the right decision. One of the most painful aspects of this phase is that INFJs often keep these emotions to themselves. They don't want to burden others with their internal struggles, so they process everything alone. They may act like they've moved on, but inside, they are still dealing with waves of emotions that can take weeks, months, or even years to fully heal. The overanalysis doesn't just affect past situations, it can also make INFJs more hesitant about future relationships. They may become more guarded, less trusting, and more cautious about opening up to others. Their past experiences shape how they navigate new connections, sometimes leading them to build emotional walls to avoid getting hurt again. In the end, while an INFJ's anger may seem terrifying to others, the true struggle happens within themselves. The weight of their emotions, the constant overthinking, and the deep desire to understand and be understood can make their anger an incredibly draining experience, not just for those around them, but for the INFJ themselves. INFJs may seem calm and gentle, but when they get mad, their emotions are powerful and intense. From suppressing their anger to sudden outbursts, emotional withdrawal, and even cutting people off completely, their reactions can be shocking. But the scariest part isn't just their external behavior, it's the deep inner turmoil they experience afterward. If you're an INFJ, remember to express your emotions before they build up. And if you know an INFJ, respect their feelings and boundaries. Understanding their anger can strengthen relationships and prevent emotional explosions before they happen. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.